New year, new me, who are you, boy? If you're in my way, you better move, boy. I don't ever miss a cue like schoolboy. Ain't no telling what I'ma do, boy. Ha, 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 ha. I bet you thought you had me figured out, but nah, 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 nah. I'm way too unpredictable.
Hello, welcome to the Tech Disruptors podcast. My name is Darren, and we have got a full house here tonight, quite literally. I mean, Jason always was the John Stamos of the Tech Disruptors podcast, but I'll let him introduce himself.
My name is Jason with Tuna Tech.
And we have a few regular / new / classic special guests here with us. We have Devin I don't know where he is on your screen, but Devin, he's our brand new guest to the Tech Disruptors podcast. How you doing, Devin?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, man. And we have Maddie, who has returned to the Tech Disruptors podcast.
That's right. I have risen. I have risen. I am back. It's okay. Don't worry.
He's risen.
Maybe the Olympics is too soon. All right, go ahead.
I know, it's true.
Right.
We'll get. I was going to talk all about the Olympics. You took the words out of my mouth. But anyway, and Sam, who's he's been a regular podcast guest of ours for years now, years and years. He is the man from the Nomad Tech Project. And
was he a guest when we were on Twitter Spaces?
Yes, we were. He was
Yes,
one of the originals. One of the originals.
I'm OG.
He is the OG. Well, for those of you who are tuning in for the very first time to the Tech Disruptors podcast, we like to talk tech and everything tech related. And we are going to jump right into it. We are doing a Sunday shit show. This is a throwback podcast to what we used to do last year. We actually used to broadcast on a Sunday. Then we moved it and shifted it around and, jumped over this hoop and jumped over that loop. And we're back now on a Sunday for this week anyway, as a special guest podcast, I guess we'll call it. But I want to start by talking to our brand new guest on the Tech Disruptors podcast. This is Devin from Devin Does Tech. So Devin, let's give us a rundown. What do you do? What's your jam? What devices are you using? Let's have a little rundown here.
All right. Well, my name is Devin Does Tech. I appreciate you having me on the podcast here. I'm Devin Does Tech everywhere, except in the gaming world. But Devin Does Tech on all social media, all that kind of stuff. For the most part, I just like to have a good time, like to have a drink, and be able to talk tech like this. That's where we got started. As far as tech that I use on a regular basis, I've got this MSI laptop in front of me. I've got my setup upstairs in the office. You can check that out in a couple of the YouTube videos I've got as well. The highlight right now is I just got a new keyboard. I'm pretty excited about that. It's a Royal Kludge S94.
Oh,
it's pretty nice.
I have not heard of that one, but I'm sure it sounds amazing.
It's very creamy, is what I hear. I'm not really.
That's what she said.
Yeah. that's the.
Okay.
I'm getting into keyboards, but I've never built one myself. It's a nice.
Hey,
what does a creamy keyboard sound?
It's the same time you use the word moist.
Moist, yes.
Anything with the word kludge in it, I'm interested.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is keyboards are big. It depends on how I'm not a big tactile person, but keyboard is all about tactile feel, and it's really a personal thing. So, and they can get up to thousands of dollars.
Okay, I'm going to ask the most obvious question here, Devin. Are you a clicky keyboard guy or a soft keyboard guy?
Oh, no.
So I've always been a clicky keyboard person. I've always had a clicky keyboard, but this one being creamy is a whole lot less clicky. But it's creamy. It is a little bit clicky, It's not clacky and it's not thocky. It's
so
creamy.
Somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you just imagine if like somebody was listening to our conversation?
I know.
What we're talking about right now.
On Spotify
clacky,
this week.
It's not clicky. It's not tacky. It's not this. It's just. It's just
Do you remember back in the day when they had 1-900 numbers? Like, hey, my keyboard's so creamy.
Without any context.
No context.
I was gonna say this gets a little weird if without.
But keyboards are huge. So
yeah.
Devin's got some points here. Like I don't know if you guys watch like Linus Tech Tips and all that stuff.
Yeah,
these guys are huge. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I'm a mechanical keyboard kind of guy, but like they have like different setups. You can change the keys out. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, not just the key caps, but like the switches that go under it. The amount of videos I've watched like recently modding keyboards where people are putting different materials under it to make it sound different, to make it feel different.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Do you remember when people used to customize their Mac keyboards with those fucking stickers that were like symbols and icons and it was like a bizarre trend of like the past 5 years. All they were just sticker caps, right?
Darren's 110, by the way, so he may be experiencing.
That's back when they were dazzling their Razor phones too at the same time.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, Devin, obviously keyboards, gaming. You build a lot of PCs, and
I heard,
interestingly enough, on his channel, holding with now about you and your daughter.
Yes.
So
yes,
I tried this with my daughter. I built it's been a couple of years, and it didn't go. It went well. Like she was interested in it, but she wasn't. So she's very artistic and she's into it. But once we were done, she's like, "Oh, okay." And she kind of went on her way.
You know what the funniest part of that story is? Tuna doesn't even have a daughter. No, I'm just kidding. He does. It was just some random off the street.
I think it's good because I got into computers back in the probably late 90s with my father. We built PCs. Like we built them from scratch before Dell and Gateway were big. And we used to have billboards. We clipped them on. People would rip off our number, call us, and we'd deliver it to their house. So I learned from my dad. We went to computer shows, and we bought parts in bulk. So it was really interesting when I watched your channel because you're doing the same thing, and then you're including your family. So that right there was. Yeah. So how did you feel, including your daughter, on that first video?
It's super fun to me. She's actually been in a couple of other ones. Either making like little guest appearances. Never as much of a main character as she was like in the last video there, and then the live stream stuff. But I kind of see this as her. I don't want to say like rite of passage, but like this is the price that she has to pay for wanting to watch YouTube all the time, for wanting to play Roblox and Fortnite all the time. Like she has to learn something. Yeah. She has to learn something along the way, right? Like you can't just use this stuff. If you're going to use it, you're going to learn how to, you learn how to build it. You're going to learn how to make some of this stuff.
How it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be honest. This sounds really crazy, and you probably shouldn't hear this from me, but my first, I guess, custom computer was built on a piece of wood, and I actually made dowel rods, and I took it to a 4-H electronic competition, and I had a poster board with what everything meant, and I'll tell you that I learned the most from me and my dad working on that kind of stuff, and that's the things you're never going to forget. So that's what drove me to your channel. Like you do the old PC, just the recent
a very cool idea.
Card comparisons. It's crazy. Yeah. I love it.
I got to pick out my RAM on my Mac Apple.
On the website.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did your dad help you out with that one too? Was that a?
No, my dad left when I was.
You called your dad.
Do you want an external monitor? Or do you want a built-in monitor?
Yeah, exactly right.
I remember when I had my very first laptop. When I first came to Canada, I actually did upgrade the RAM on my laptop, which may seem like a crazy thing, but I was never into that kind of world. I never dealt with, computer parts components, but I taught myself through a YouTube video. I basically bought the part online. I wasn't even sure if I bought the right part, but I did. Just watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and they were talking about, be careful of static electricity and all this crazy shit. And I'm touching the fucking screw on my light switch and long story. But anyway, yeah, just to kind of take the charge away. But yeah, it's a fun concept. And I think I like that idea of kind of bringing in your own son or daughter into it and going, you know what? This is what you need to learn how to do if you want to, play with your iPad or, go and, play the PlayStation, whatever, right?
Really, we have one big question for Devin.
Yes. Does it work?
Well, that's always a question. You hear nothing shows up on the screen or you get the weird beeps, but you have a thing called the Pixel Pub. So me and Darren at least assume you're a Pixel user, but what is your main mobile device?
Yeah, right now I'm driving the Pixel Fold. So I've got
there you go. OG, yep.
My wife is actually driving the Pixel 6 Pro right now, but honestly, this is my first foldable since the original Samsung Fold.
Okay.
It's my first foldable. Like, I tried that one, literally returned it because I was like, I can't use it. I used the front screen too often and it was too small and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to try it out again. And as soon as they announced the 2, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna try this one out, give it another shot. It's been like 3 years, see if I like it at this point. And honestly, I'm super ready to trade it in for a Pixel 9 Pro.
So, whoa. Yeah. Super. So are you not happy with it, or are you more happy with it?
I wouldn't say I'm definitely way more happy with this. This is way better than my experience with the Samsung one. Again, the super small screen on that Samsung was just unusable. Yeah. And for me, the thing is there's so many, I don't want to say cons to this, like bad things, but it's heavier. It doesn't I don't know, there's a lot to it that doesn't make sense. The screen is awesome when you're playing a game or watching a video. Other than that, it's a worse experience. Still.
Yeah.
None of the apps work. None of the apps are optimized. Like, you open Instagram or Twitter, or you want to scroll through anything else, maybe reading a book, right? Like, reading, it's a media thing. If you are a media person, I think this is an amazing phone for you.
Yeah.
Me personally, 95% of the time, I'm in front of a screen that's bigger and better and more qualified to do that media. So I just am not using that.
So it sounds like Samsung's original one was a generational thing. It was the first, generation product.
Oh yeah.
So foldables in general. Now Samsung has the most experience with software, but generally it sounds like I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe foldables aren't quite still ready yet. We're still waiting for that aha moment.
I think
Maddie's got some things to say.
This is why I'm doing it. I'm poking the bear here.
I think foldables are ready at this point. The software is still attempting to catch up, but at this point, the software that is made for those devices is already great. Again, I'm talking about the apps. Twitter is just never going to be good. Full screen on that, right? Like multitasking, sure, it's fine, right? You put it side by side with another app, great, it's perfect. But when you just have Twitter open on that screen, like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but you're missing the point. We're not making Maddie mad. That's the whole point.
Welcome back. Right? Yeah, welcome back.
He's like, I don't want to make anybody mad.
No, Maddie, let's have you chime in.
I'm gonna get quick because I can go long-winded on this. Look, I think that it depends on the manufacturer, but we're all based on the OS. It's all OS based. The hardware on the Fold, the OnePlus Open, the Pixel Fold, it's all great, right? There's obviously like a first generational thing when it comes to the Pixel Fold because of the bezels, and the next one's gonna be great and all that stuff. It's all about how they optimize the software. So if you open up Twitter or X on a Open, it's great because you have it's made for a tablet, right? The Pixel Fold is the same way. You have a navigation on the left. You can tap down. It makes sense. But the issue with the foldables is that when you have people who are first generation,
and the screen the other way.
Yeah. What am I? I'm backwards. Okay. So when you open it up and you have a first generational person, they say, I'm coming from an iPhone 14, 15 Pro, and I go to have my first foldable, and they have a bad experience, they're turned off forever. They will not go back. They will always go back to a slab phone, no matter what.
Yeah.
And so they have to pick the right one. no matter what, you should be able to pick a Pixel or an Open or a Fold and have a good experience.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
consistent experience yet. For us
Yeah.
people who understand that it takes like, oh, this is a first gen, consumers don't give a crap. They want to be
Yeah.
able to buy it and have it work now. And
Yeah,
so
100%.
yeah, so the I had a Pixel Fold for a while, and it is broken, right? It's unfortunate because the form factor doesn't work, the way the landscape, but it's portrait, but it's not, and it's broken. And so hopefully with the next one it works better. But I haven't had that issue with the OnePlus Open. I haven't had that issue with the Fold 5. I haven't got this Fold 6 yet. I'm not sold yet.
Don't do it.
I'm not sold on it. I'm not sold. I have the OnePlus Open. It works great. It's fantastic. I have no issue to get there, but the end. Period.
Yeah, okay.
You hold on. He made a good point though, because
Yeah.
we talk about Android fragmentation. Now, it doesn't mean
Yes.
just updates, because now there's a rumor that Apple is going to release a flip device.
Yes.
And the benefit to that is they make all their phones. They make the software across the board for everything. So
Yeah.
there is a benefit to that. So when people say, well, I won't buy it until Apple does it, it kind of makes sense with what Matt said. Now, I'm not trying to say that Apple's better than Android. Android's more experimental, and people do copy and swap. I don't know. I think maybe...
I think I'll chime in here. I think
Yes,
I'll channel my inner Sam here, because I think Sam's thinking what I'm thinking right now. When Apple releases that flip, it's game over.
Yeah, I can
Because-
see Sam saying that.
There'll be 10 million sales in the first 10 seconds.
Well, and so in the United States, so we can't think globally, right? We think in the
Yeah.
U.S. Apple has become the good housekeeping seal of approval. I know it's kind of an old reference for folks who aren't in there, like over. I'm almost 50, so like I get it, right? But yeah, it turned 49 the other day. So yeah. So anyway, I'm old.
25.
Yeah.
No,
That's crazy.
I'm cold. I'm Cold War, Soviet Union. Yeah, East Berlin kind of old, right? So but what happens is when Apple does the thing, it becomes, that is when it has become ready for consumers,
Yes.
right? Because that's the way it is. And I don't think Apple's ever going to make a Fold, because it cuts into their iPad sales, right? Because and a flip becomes an iPhone. Like when I have a Moto Razr, right, 23. So when I use that in public, Apple people really kind of notice that, because they're like, oh, that turns into a phone, right? It becomes what they already know. People aren't using a Fold. Like, they're not using an iPad in public. They don't want that. Apple people don't want that. Like, so again, it comes down to, I have a Fold. I still think at the end of the day, if you want a true multitasking 2-screen solution, the Duo was better than anything else.
100%.
Because it forced you to have multitasking on my Fold. I don't multitask that much. I have to make it multitask. The Duo made you multitask and then had to go to a separate foldable screen thing, right? So it's about workflow. It's about what you want to bring to the table. And I just don't think Android users want a tablet in their pocket. They don't want that. They think it's great, but if you have a good enough outer screen, you're not going to use the inner screen. It doesn't drive you to do that.
Yeah.
And if you open it up and you still have to like click this, then drag this, then make that happen to have a multi-screen device, it just isn't going to drive your workflow. Like, it's not enough of a paradigm shift for you. And I get that.
Yeah. It's interesting because I always talked about how I wanted to fold over a flip, because to me, a flip's outer screen isn't usable enough. So you got to open it more often, even though they're getting bigger and bigger. So to me, I'm thinking, you're folding a screen. It's going to break eventually. Now, I know it's getting better and better every year. But to me, it's like, well, with a Fold, I know I don't have to open it as much. So I can actually open it when I need to play a game bigger screen or whatever.
Yeah.
So to me, the Fold would be a better idea. But I kind of like what you're saying, because you have tablets, you have laptops, you have computers. I mean, everything's got a bigger screen nowadays. So to me, it's like I told Darren earlier, I think I'm done with foldables for a while. Like I had the open, I've had the up to the Fold 4. I just think to me it's like I'm gonna wait and see what happens because flips seem to be the more popular decision because they're cheaper. Obviously, that's the biggest thing, and they're more consumer friendly. But to me, I'm gonna wait and hold off. And I have the Fold like Devin does. I have the Fold 1. I still use it, but you're right. There's some issues there, and we bring it up all the time. When I saw the reviews of that thing, it doesn't fold flat. That drives me insane. It doesn't literally fold flat. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say my last piece about foldables because I'm a big foldable guy. I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max. I know, surprised. I have a 15 Pro Max, which is my daily driver right now. It's fine, but my second device right now, I have the Razer.
I want to know about it. Tell me.
I got the Razer, and I have this is the Fold 6. I got them both right here. Okay. The shocking part about me holding these devices when I open them, the Razer Plus is by far a better experience as a consumer. 100%. 100%. The quality issues that we had with the last generation, from I can tell, are a couple days with it are gone. The cracking in the hinge, the looseness, all that stuff is gone. It's way better. But I cannot, now that I've had both of them, I cannot get over the fact that the front of the Flip 6 and the front of the Razer Plus are so incredibly different it makes it, I mean, this is a significant difference.
Wow.
And it's a matter of point where, like, I was using both of them today. They were just on Wi-Fi, right? Just sending Telegram or whatever. And what do I end up going to? I say I have to text my wife, I have to text my daughter, whatever. I end up going to the Razer. And it's because of the fact that it has such a big screen in the front. So I think that the biggest thing for me is I end up, we end up getting caught up in our Twitter scrolling and our social media posts or whatever it is. You go online. This really can help you separate from that, addiction of scrolling nonstop, but still have the capacity to be like you're still taking care of business. You can email, you can text, get it done, and it's gone. And I'm going to tell you the one thing I haven't heard. This is the last thing I'll say. I promise.
Go. We love to hear you, Matt. It's all good.
Listen, I get passionate. I don't want to tell you. This is the last thing I'm going to say about this. When you're texting on this, on the front, this has haptic feedback. This does not. And for somebody who has been using haptic feedback for the last God knows how many years, that is huge when you're typing this just small screen. Absolutely. That's a big deal. And so you cannot turn it on the Samsung. You can't. So for me, right now, it's all Razer, baby. I'm loving it.
Haptic feedback's important for me on any phone. If I'm typing, I want it on. And I have the CMF Nothing phone, and I thought for sure I turned it on, it wasn't working. Come to find out, when you activate the haptic feedback in Nothing software, you actually have to go to the Google keyboard and activate there because they weren't syncing. So I'm not saying that's what you need to do with yours. Maybe that is. Yeah. But I actually had to go into apps, Google keyboard, the Gboard, and I had to activate it there because it wasn't syncing with the settings with my Nothing phone. It was
I can confirm. I'll confirm with you, Matt. There's no haptic feedback on the outer screen.
There's not.
Well,
because you have it you have it when it's open, but you don't have it when it's closed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Samsung?
So
really?
I played with because
on the Gboard. To be clear, it's on the Gboard. On the
Gboard. Yeah.
No, if you have the Samsung keyboard, does it work?
No.
Let's find out right now. I'm going to try it out.
All I know. All I know is the Moto, when it comes to a UI and the experience, is superior to the Fold of the Flip 6. Bar none.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. And here's the thing: in Samsung, if you're listening, you're not probably. Well, maybe they should. The fact that you don't have you don't have Ready 4 on your Flip, you guys can pound. You guys can pound sand.
Does the Flip 6 not have DeX?
No. It doesn't have DeX.
Serious still?
Yeah.
No,
it does nothing. It literally has nothing.
And I'm telling you, if for Samsung to literally try to really articulate why they don't have it on the Flip, it's just ridiculous. And I'm like, I'm sorry. If it's a software experience, you have the same chipset and the same RAM. The fact that you guys are trying to make, on the Flip, we can't make it work. That's a bunch of BS. That's just not a thing. And I'm never going to, and I'm sorry, but the fact that you have, Ready for, Sam, whatever it is, Connect Now or whatever.
It's Ready for
it's Ready for, but it's basically essentially a smart connect, right? The fact that you can do this on any Moto device is game changing for half the price or fraction of the price. I'm
Sam, let me challenge you though. We talked about how the general public wants a flip.
They want a flipping phone.
They don't care how many iPhone users are going to plug their phone into a desktop and use it. No one's going to. So I'm not saying I agree with you. I think the desktop, the UI is amazing, and I love Dex and Ready for. But how many people do you think are actually going to use it?
I don't think. And here's the thing. Honestly, I'm going to say this, and I'm trying not to offend anybody who's an Apple fan. If you're a stan, if you're an Apple user, fine. Okay. This next statement is going to sting a bit, but Apple fans don't care about that. They never have. They don't want that experience. They have iPad. Every Apple user I know has a Mac and an iPad. I don't know anybody who just has an iPhone. Like none of them do.
I just have an iPhone.
Well, but you're not.
I know I'm not a typical consumer. I get it.
You're not at all. But the general consumer who is in the Apple ecosystem has an iPad, has an iPhone. Probably has a Mac. And if they haven't had a Mac, their son or daughter handed 50-year-old mom, hey, look, mom, I got this Mac. Ditch that Windows crap. Here you go. And they go there, right? And that's the way it is. And go for, and that's fine. But so to ask an Apple user to fundamentally change the way they compute is a non-starter and it's a lose. And Apple knows that. Apple knows that. In the United States, they know that, and they're going to keep squeezing that in because they realize that their users don't want a foldable, flippable, cast the screen. I'm going to use my iPhone when I go to Boca. I'm going to cast my iPhone. They're not doing that, man. They're just not.
That's pretty good.
Look at your typical iPhone user. They're 18 to 30. They're female or they're male, and they're not rocking multitasking compute power on the go. They're not doing that. So let's just lose that altogether. Let's just lose that.
I'm just going to chime in for a second because I want to just cover the chopped logic of Samsung. So and I'm going to quote Samsung logic. Here.
Okay.
I'm going to quote.
Direct
quote. Last year, they didn't put Dex on the Flip 5, and I quote from Samsung, because of insufficient heat dissipation. Now, you're telling me on this Flip 6, which has a vapor chamber cooling system, you couldn't add Dex? That's some fucking bullshit. That's fucking penny pinching horseshit.
Hold on. We got to remember one thing. Samsung's a business, right?
Yeah.
Apple's a business. They don't really, let me rephrase that. They care about the consumers to the fact that, hey, we need to make money off you, but they also got to make money. So the fact they raised prices and only did incremental upgrades, Samsung's not only guilty of this. Apple does it. Everyone does it. Yeah. And that's why I know Dan's not here. Like companies like Nothing, CMF, they're not changing the world, but they're introducing different aspects like design cues and attractive pricing to bring people in. Again, Sam said it. In the U.S., Apple reigns supreme, but there was an article I read the other day that in China, Apple's actually dropping. Huawei's killing it right now, which doesn't mean much to us. But
understandably so.
And it's because Samsung, Huawei, Xiaomi don't just do phones.
Yeah. Correct. Do everything.
Apple does mobile devices. That's it. You don't have an Apple washer and dryer. You don't have an Apple refrigerator. You don't have
not yet.
and you won't. Because here's the thing. Here's a dirty little secret that LG and Samsung have learned in the United States. LG and Samsung can't repair and maintain their devices post sale.
Yeah.
If you talk to anybody who's in the washer and dryer, refrigerator, appliance division, they will tell you stay away from Samsung, LG, and everything because it's great, but when it comes to long-term repairability of those devices and part availability and service work, they don't go with. It's Whirlpool, Maytag, right? That's what it is. Apple doesn't have anything else in their portfolio other than computers, phones, and tablets.
Yeah, but you said dirty little secret. If Apple had a washer, they could clean it. It wouldn't be dirty anymore.
Right. But what I'm saying though is Samsung and
bad.
Huawei
Bad
and
joke.
those companies have Xiaomi in China. You can buy everything, right? They make tons of stuff. They
Xiaomi
have
makes a
other
world
divisions
of
that
things.
diversify. Why do you think LG got out of the phone business? Because they knew they had their washer and dryer and appliance business. They have displays. They don't give a shit. It's a disposable division. That's why they walked away from it. That's why they don't care.
So
Apple
Devin,
doesn't have that.
on Devin, on your channel, I'm looking forward to an upgraded washer.
Yes.
I want you to build a washer on your channel.
With your daughter.
Yeah.
Oh no, the
I'd
thing
watch
that you'll see on my channel right now is the LG Wing. I wanted to bring that up so many times while we were having this
That phone is dope. I love it. I've had a Wing. That's great.
Have you seen the company that took the bottom screen? What they do? It was a company that did just the bottom screen. It turned it into like a gaming device or something. Took the top part off.
Yeah, the Wing was
You know,
awesome.
Because that processor was more powerful than most of those retro like arcade gaming things you get at Alibaba and stuff. So,
Alibaba.
So Devin, have you got an LG Wing? Is that what
I
you're
do.
saying?
I have it.
Oh, wow.
It's upstairs in the office, but I love it. It is the epitome of multitasking. Like that is what I think honestly ruined foldables for me. Being able to hold it like a normal phone, but then having the long screen on top, it made so much sense. And it was I think everybody's problem with it was they thought it was going to be like terrible quality and it was going to break. Like,
but it was good.
I still have mine. Like 3 years later, I still put my.
I had mine.
Every once
I think
in
the
a while.
biggest issue I had mine was a little underpowered, but for what it was definitely not below average. Like it was crazy impressive.
If you're trying to play like a high intensity game, maybe it's underpowered, but just for day to day tasks,
probably.
100%. But like Devin and I are doing, like having that bottom screen and be able to hold, dude, was just great. Sitting in bed and just holding the bottom and having the whole just to watch a YouTube video or a Netflix show where you can just kind of hold it. And also,
not like that.
Dude, do yourself a favor, take the Wing and walk up to someone and just go. And just like deploy it right in front of people. They're like,
still do it.
Their head will literally explode in front of you. It's like,
and that gimbal camera was actually pretty good.
Pretty cool. Yeah. The only thing that made I did a whole follow up on that phone, but the camera was one of the things that made me a little bit frustrated because the 4K camera was when you had it sideways like this. Okay. When you opened it up and flipped it, the 4K camera was still like vertical now. So when you had gimbal mode open, you couldn't take 4K video. I was like,
software issue.
You missed something there.
Yeah, it's
an
LG
LG software.
software
It might be
problem.
hardware too.
No, that's LG not really having
AAA?
enough to really put into their software development to really
LG
make that
always
work.
did great cameras. They always had great cameras.
Yeah, but their software is always whack, dude.
Yeah.
But it could control your washer dryer at the same time too. So
right.
Good.
But you can watch Netflix while you're
Look,
staying in the refrigerator, like looking for a sandwich. Like I don't know why you'd want to do that.
If a company can do this and I can unlock my phone with my palm, that's a G8. That
Dude,
thing was amazing.
I had an LG G8 and that palm thing was kind of cool. Like I have to admit, that was kind of.
You know what I love about the Wing is that was LG just throwing all their shit at the wall. They're just like
they knew that was their last device. They're like,
final hurrah.
Here you go.
Here you go. This is what we got in the back pocket.
What'd you call it? What'd you call it?
Final hurrah.
No.
Oh, I thought you said coup de grace.
But LG had a division that was nothing but experimental rollables. I mean. There has to be a company out there that has to kind of push that. I realize it's you're taking a risk. It's a lot of money to spend in an R&D department, but man, I'm telling you, you're going to really be mad when LG as a company is out of the market because they were pushing rollables.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Wing, all sorts. They had a whole division full of crazy
the curve
shit.
phones and everything.
Yeah, they were into all sorts of craziness, right? And now you need somebody like a disruptor.
Yep.
You need something in the market that disrupts it, that isn't just following the trends, right? That can push whatever that next iteration is. Because, like I said, the Duo as a device, it solves two of your major problems. One, it's already multitasking, and two, you don't have a durability problem because it's not folding. It's two independent screens. Right. And I'm telling you, if Microsoft would just take a few dollars out of their war chest and make that a thing, they could have really found a niche in that, but it's just like they gave up on it. And so, like I said, I think Devin's point about the wing is spot on. I think that's a really good approach to it.
The companies that picked the torch up from LG are the ones you never heard of. Blackview, Unihertz. Yeah. They're the ones making the niche phones, but no one cares. Yeah. And that's the problem we have in Eastern U.S. We're saturated with bland slab phones, and that's why I get so excited about the CMF phone, because it's nothing. It's a budget phone. It's $200, but
that's not being sold in the market in the U.S.
You're right. I got it in the U.S. and it's supported. I get it what you're saying, but it's just the fact that no one's going to know about it.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
And again, like I said, in the United States, in the next 10 years, Apple will control at least 80% of the smartphone market.
I disagree.
Oh no, they're already plus 65.
Huawei's coming back. I'm telling you,
coming back, baby.
No, I don't like the Huawei, China, right, guys? Yeah, it's okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
Hold on.
I have a Huawei. I like my Huawei. It's great. So,
sorry, what were you going to say there, Devin? Sorry, we cut you off there.
I think the people that are the company that's going to own the market in the U.S. is whoever is in the carriers. Whoever strikes up those carrier deals. Like, it's so surprising to me, so crazy to me that so many people still just go get their new phone every year or two from the carrier, and they just say, okay, cool. What's the next phone? What's the upgrade from this one? What do I get now? Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest problems.
Hey, I went and saw Inside Out 2 with my daughters this weekend.
And I did too last night.
Yeah, nice. It was actually pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
Sad.
I felt terrible.
But anyways,
it was good.
The first 35 minutes was ads and previews, and I saw the Pixel 9 ad 4 times.
Wow, already?
Yeah, a Pixel 9. It's like it's a Gemini, the breakup letter.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people in the theater, and I don't think anybody was paying attention, but they're okay, phone, get next. Yeah.
I just like when it says, okay, Google, and then every 35 phones in the theater go, it's like,
didn't say that. It was Gemini, help me with a breakup letter, and then it has break up with the other phone. Yeah.
Well, I think the big thing with the Microsoft Duo and all these optimized softwares, they decided to give up on the hardware and focus on software because they realize if they want to really make money, they're going to charge a subscription on a iPad or on a Google or a Apple folding device or whatever it is. That's where the money is. It's not on the hardware.
They're going to license that,
Yeah, it's just software. Yeah.
That's what Google does. Google's a software company first. They license that stuff out. They make tons of money off of it. So
that's a good transition. Thanks, Jason. Right into the Pixel. So Pixel 9 is coming out. That was good. Perfect done. So we've heard
not scripted.
No, it's scripted at all.
No, scripted at all.
We've seen tons of Pixel 9 leaks, and I'm not going to go into the Pixel 9 leaks, but I want to talk about one super creepy feature that's coming. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I'll share the screen so you guys can see what I'm seeing. If I can find the fucking thing. Hang on. So Google's releasing their Add Me feature. Now, for those of you who maybe don't know what the Add Me feature is, Google's going to essentially let yourself insert yourself into any old photograph you've ever taken, ever. So basically,
hold on. Does this include if I download a photo of a certain special celebrity that I like?
Yes. You could literally insert yourself.
Situation, not into a... Well, never mind. I won't.
Just to let you guys know, I was part of the cast of Black Widow. I'll show you when actually Pixel 9 comes out.
Well, listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. This could have been me being in that photo of my Canadian girlfriend I had when I was in high school in Australia, right? I could have inserted myself into the photo and proven everybody wrong.
Thank God you said into the photo. They're going to say inserted into something else, but that's
okay. Well, I know that's okay.
Yeah. Where's he going with this?
That was a different day. So Google's Pixel 9 is allowing people to essentially, and this is a great headline from The Verge here, saying that Google continues to blur the line between what's real and what's not. So essentially, you can insert yourself into any photo. So I'll give you an example. So my son plays baseball. I was away the day they took photos of the team. So all of the coaches, all of the players, I was away. We just got the photo printed. I'm mistakenly absent from the photo. And I thought to myself, it's like I'm not part of the team. If only there was a way. And then I thought to myself, then I saw this here, and I'm like, you know what? It's super creepy, but I kind of dig it. I kind of like it. I think it's a good idea.
Wasn't the Magic Erase creepy when it first came out?
Yeah,
and Google
true.
does this. They'll come up with this, and it's like, oh, it's crap. But as soon as Samsung, then Apple pick it up, oh, it's normal. Like, Apple has Magic Erase. Samsung has Magic. So I think it's just one of those things where we're going to get used to this kind of stuff. Is it what's real and what's not?
I hate it.
I'm okay with inserting
myself
in a
Matt?
picture
I hate it.
Okay, tell me why. Tell me why.
Okay, so the whole idea of adding something to nothing is super creepy. Okay,
True.
So I think that what happens now is when you go to Galaxy AI or Gemini, whatever you say, you want to create something and it goes against their community guidelines, if you will.
Yes.
It's like, you draw a picture on a face, it won't do it or whatever.
Yeah.
Put some limitations on it, right? Because the issue is if you find a photo and they go, oh, well, this guy says that he was here, but I have a photo of him showing him, proving he was here. Maybe it's a crime, maybe it's a dispute or something. Then it becomes like, well, I have a photo here showing I was there. And until they have AI, like a way to figure it out to make sure it's like legit, it creates all kinds of confusion with that. I understand, like, as a gimmick, which most of these things usually are, right? Anytime you get a new feature, it's like, oh, yeah, it's a gimmick. This is a gimmick as long as it looks like a gimmick. As soon as it starts to look too real, then it becomes blurring the lines.
Hold on, we don't know this is real or not yet, too. And plus, it
this
might
is
be
a
limited
leak,
to
right?
only your photos. Like if it's something downloaded, they may anything in there's going to be limitations. I'm sure they don't want you to download a crime scene and put. I'm like, man, I did that. Oh, about Maddie.
I kind of want it to be.
That'd be legit, though. I kind of want to see it now.
I don't know. To be fair, I mean,
or something weird. I don't know.
We already have Photoshop. Like this thing is.
I know.
Super.
But it makes it more accessible to the average person. Yeah, Photoshop is. I'm not good at Photoshop at all, and I've tried. But this is more like. Just like Magic Erase, you could do that in Photoshop.
Drop it in paste.
A couple more extra steps. Yeah,
and I agree. I agree with Matt's take. I think that, but so at least he understands. Like from an investigative perspective, I think Google, if you get to the bowels of it, they're going to have metadata that shows that this image was added post, right? So really, if you're an investigator and you really think like, hey, it shows that this is the scene that it is because it's clearly going to be identifiable as a manipulated photo, just like a Photoshop photo, right? You can clearly tell. And so I think, and Google's not going to tell you because they have security protocols and that kind of thing, right? But I guarantee if somebody's inserting or removing something from in a video or a picture when they take a phone that they're bringing in to identify, it's clearly going to have markers on it and metadata that states that this photo was clearly. I mean, hell, I work in IT. You can't touch a database or you can't touch anything that doesn't have a timestamp on it. So, if you saw that this crime happened a year ago, but then the metadata shows that this image was altered six days ago, you clearly are going to know as an investigator. Now, the trick is, will Google give you the subpoena and give you the information that you need to make that happen? I think Maddie's concern is justified because we as a society don't look at evidence. We look at what we see at the middle and we make our decision based on what we see at the moment, not based on they touched it 6 days ago. Fake news. Like we get it, right? We're in that in that.
If it's on social media, it's real,
right? And that's what I'm saying. Remember, real. If it's what is presented to you immediately, that becomes what becomes the reality, right? So I get it. There has to be, and I'm really concerned about AI just in general, not from image processing, but just anything else, right? Academic, people are making papers. Hey, Google, write me this dissertation. I guarantee you Google can write a whole complete dissertation on whatever topic you want. And if you're willing to take at least 90% of it and frame it away, it becomes really problematic. And then you talk about anything else when it comes to malicious intent, right? Taking AI and turning it into something that become weaponized against a state actor, against another person. It can get weird. Without guide rails, this is going to get really interesting in the next 15 years, how people manipulate and weaponize AI against either civilians or governments.
Well, that's a perfect
Darren,
segue.
Before you go into math.
Yeah.
If you guys do see some fake news about tech disruptors running for the president of the United States as VP and president, it's definitely not true because, we're just not cut out.
I
for
think
that
our
kind of
next
pressure.
thumbnail, Jason, needs to be you and I side by side, political debate style, buddy. All right, that's how it's gonna be done.
You're gonna
Now,
look like Trump, just to let you know.
That's fine. Sam, you actually bring up a really good point here because I stumbled across this article today. So we know that Google's DeepMind is their premium AI, let's conquer the world kind of shit. But I stumbled across this article the other day. So Google's DeepMind AI system is advancing at a pretty rapid rate for those of you who have been following it. But just recently, it gained the ability to solve complex math problems. Now, I thought this was cute until I started reading the article. Now, Google has no metric on how to test this, right? So they can give it an equation, it'll solve it, cool. But most AI can do that kind of stuff. So Google actually entered their DeepMind AI into an international math competition, and it came second. It won a silver medal for its ability to solve complex mathematical problems. So
can't the iPad OS, you could just write it in, it can solve complex? So
yeah,
what the
I
hell
know,
we need
and
this
it's
for?
not the same. But anyway, so the International Mathematical Olympiad, which for the record has got to be the greatest fucking name of a competition ever.
Fair.
I got eighth
created
place, by the way, just personally, so I got kicked out. Just let
So
you know.
it's a prestigious competition. Now, this is meant to be for like the elite top 1% of high school students internationally. Like, this is not just let's grab our smartest kids and, throw them in a room together. So basically, in particular, I think it was, what was it? Geometry and something else. I forget what the other one was now. But basically, they put this to the test in this International Mathematical Olympiad, and it came in second. Now, my question is, how did it come second? And who
came
fuck is
first?
smart enough to come first? That's exactly right. I want to meet this high school kid. Who is this
It's
kid?
the first place was a high school kid with an iPad. With the
Yeah,
newest version of
absolutely.
the iPad.
Absolutely. I got you, Google. Fuck you. Just trying to get down. Yeah.
So what this comes down to is basically finding ways to use quantum computing to either break existing encryption, right?
Yeah.
Encryption. And basically, it's again, this comes down to to me, it comes down to a situation where it's mathematical formulas, right? So we're talking about algorithmic encryption, right? So how do we break, Diffie-Hellman encryption, right? Elliptical curve encryption, EC, how do we break encryption standards? Because that's what this is about, right? It's not about like, oh, it's peace and love, it's great. Well, that's fine. And then there are ways to do that, but there are governments and there are people who are actively trying to defeat current algorithmic encryption, right? And this is quantum computing gone haywire, and they're going to find a way to do that. So again, like I said, this is to the next point. The last point is governments, bad actors, and not just governments, right? Really just people looking to kind of basically hanging in the Chinese or the Russians or the Israelis or the United States, whatever, finding a way to defeat algorithmic encryption, right? This is what this is. This is the right. We make a box, we make a prison, we make a thing, and people defeat that thing, and we kind of have this back and forth kind of thing. And I think it's going to be interesting to see, because you're going to have to develop countermeasures, and governments and not only in that, but just corporations are going to have to look at AT&T. They've already had a data breach, right? Yeah. Because they do not have and they do not prioritize data security. Right, that's not a thing that they do. They're there to sell phones or whatever. So
you just made it scarier, because Darren asked, "Who beat Google then?" If it's all about do you remember? And here's the funny thing: do you remember? And I guess I'm old, so I remember when they had Deep Blue, right? They had chess champions trying to, and they eventually can beat a computer, and then eventually the computer was able to beat them, right? That's that constant AI. Can a computer beat a human? Because a computer can't think outside the box, right? It has to follow its programming, right? But a human can kind of go rogue. So somebody out there is doing it, but eventually this thing is entered. This is probably the first entry. And second,
second place.
It's not going to be hard.
It's a done deal,
right? Wait, we know that AI can be defeated. If you watch back in the 2000s when The Office, the American version, was out here in the United States. I don't know if any of you guys watched it. Dwight beat the Dunder Mifflin AI when it was first set up. Remember, he beat it. He sold more paper than the.
So again,
no
like
one knows that reference at all. Probably.
I do. I got it. I know that.
He was tortured by Angela, and he was trying to.
But doesn't matter. He persevered and beat the robot.
I understand. Like Prison Mike, right? Okay, it's fair.
Prison
so anyway,
Mike. Oh
yeah.
my God.
So, but what I'm saying is, this is the MIT technology review, right?
Yeah.
This is a pretty. I'm saying it's going to be. We're now kind of starting to get into these kind of unknown territories with AI and humanity and governments and military applications and data security and corporate security and consumer security, right? This is going to be an interesting next couple of years. And
let me ask you all a question here, because there's a lot of applications of AI, right? So we know that it can solve problems and, give us recipes and do all that shit, insert us into photos. I know, because that's what I use it for.
Over my house. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So let me ask you this.
What is Apple using in with their Apple Intelligence? Who's the other company they signed with? With ChatGPT?
It's OpenAI, I believe.
OpenAI. Okay.
Yeah. So my question is I think I've stumbled across an amazing application, and we have a regular segment here on the Tech Disruptors.
I'm going to block Darren here in 2 seconds.
No, calm down. So we have a regular segment here on the Tech Disruptors podcast where we look at kind of like robotics and AI and how those two worlds are merging together and creating what I like to call nightmare fuel. So let me ask you something. What's the best way to get rid of garden weeds? Now stick with me on this one. Sam, give me a one-word answer. Go.
Pesticide.
Matt.
Gardeners.
Nice. Devin.
I was gonna say weed killer.
Weed killer. Jason.
By hand. Pull them out by hand. That's what I do.
By hand. Okay. Well, I think that AI and robotics have merged together here in probably the greatest construction of a weed killer ever. And I want to introduce you to this lovely little.
I feel like I'm being trolled.
No. So do I.
No,
it's happening.
Oh God, I knew it.
It's gonna burn, Martin.
Blowtorch. Nice.
Okay, that's too much.
That seems like a really useful time.
Yep.
The music is terrible. By the way.
Sorry.
That's terrible. This is getting me pumped. I'm gonna burn some weeds tomorrow.
Some copyright free stuff.
Okay.
Look at that.
Okay. You can just stop this because here's the problem. Like in my front yard, I have mulch with plants, and I got a bunch of weird weeds in there. I'm not going to start setting fire to a bunch of mulch.
Can a brother get some napalm? Wherever happened to napalm, right? Remember napalm?
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
Devin did report to me before we started that he has one of these that burns his weeds, correct?
This is true.
Yeah, it's really cool. You can set literally whatever you want as a weed. Like you could just go into the app and you're like, "Yep, those bugs over there, those are weeds. Go get them." Like
my neighbor who drives me nuts.
Neighbor
that's
kid,
a weed.
Yep.
That fence line. Bye.
Yeah.
Now,
good.
I want them to level that up. I want that to level up. I want it to be a flamethrower. I want him to just like torch the entire weed section. I want it to come out.
Elon Musk needs to get
what's the Elon Musk thing? What is it again?
The boring, not a flamethrower.
A boring company.
Yeah.
Just attach a freaking blowtorch to it, man.
Just look up.
He's got the not a flamethrower.
Just look up 1973 Vietnam napalm, and that's basically what it's just. Let's throw flaming gel over everything and
no side effects at all.
Right, and let's kill people, and plants and like ecosystems. Let's just.
I love this
that makes
napalm
sense.
in the morning.
Yeah,
I know.
That's Devin's idea. Where you could actually, it uses AI, and you can specify what's a weed.
That I like that.
That annoying cat next door. I swear to God.
Yeah, that's cool.
Squirrels.
That's cool. It looked, honestly, it looked a little slow. I mean,
could you imagine the cops knocking your door saying, "Excuse me, sir, your robotic dog has burned 16 squirrels. We need you to get this down."
Insurance might not cover that one. I'm just saying.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, like it's good eating though.
That's interesting. Like I said, but I
not for you. Well, There's been a lot of AI stories this week, and some really funny ones. And I won't go through them all, but I just want to talk a little bit about OpenAI. So OpenAI is the company that Apple has signed up to be their AI provider, I guess we'll call them. So I don't know if you guys heard about OpenAI's latest thing. So they've just launched Search GPT. So Search GPT is their answer to kind of like a Google search. Mm-hmm. So basically, they're going to be leveraging their AI in order to provide contextualized searches. So for example, if you searched what's the average temperature in Toronto, and it would give you the answer, and then you can keep responding to the search inquiry and asking for further information. So for example, well, is it hot there today? And it would give you an answer saying, yes, it is hot there today. It's 37 degrees. So I'm curious what you guys think and whether or not this may be embedded into Google's search engine at some point.
Here's the problem. There was an article, a bunch of articles that came out earlier today, and that's why I'm laughing. OpenAI might lose $5 billion this year because they're making $0. So it's like they're making all this stuff. Google might be a joke. Maybe Google's not as advanced, but they got the money behind to keep it going. We see Alexa struggling. Amazon's on the verge of cutting Alexa completely. And, Siri is Apple's trying to buy up what they can to, to reinvent the wheel. But OpenAI is apparently, it's all rumors.
But as soon as Apple releases their shit, their stock prices are going to go through the fucking ceiling. As soon as it starts working on an iPhone, I would hope so. Or at least I hope so.
Yeah, I have a different opinion. I think that okay, so when we go to Siri or Google or whoever it is, what's the first thing you do? You ask one question. How often do realistic people ask a follow-up?
Very right. 100%.
Well, never. Average people. I've never seen somebody ask a follow-up. Say, if they go, oh, hey, who was the winner of the 1955 Olympics and blah, blah, blah. Right. They go, oh, that's who it was. It becomes a bar bet, right?
And Matt, you know what's interesting? The Rabbit R1 was ridiculed, and it still is. And I still have that device. It's got a couple updates, and that's one of the few devices, even though my Google Assistant or Gemini can do just as much, I feel obligated to ask follow-up questions. So I think that's part of the thing. Apple's going to pivot themselves, so you have to ask. Hopefully, but anyways, go ahead.
I was saying, generally speaking, I haven't been around anybody who's not like a real enthusiast who's asked follow-up questions to a Siri question, or it's typically like, God, who was the actor in that? Who was? Yeah, I know, right? Just Google it is what they say. But who was the actor in that one movie in this time in the 80s? And they just say, Siri, who was the blah 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 blah, and they get the answer. Oh, that was it. And they move on.
Yeah, you're right.
So I mean,
what's the weather?
90% of the people, nobody's looking to have a conversation with their phone about this stuff. I just don't see it happening.
Now,
Matt, soon, at least.
I'll just chime in. So I get a couple of shows back. I have the ChatGPT app on my iPhone.
Okay.
And if you've had you can now have conversations with the ChatGPT voice assistant. Now that thing is crazy good at conversing. And so much so that it actually asks you follow-up questions so that you're prompted to respond with more
But Darren,
questions.
there was a big limitation to that. At least here in the U.S., I did the same thing you did where I hit the action button.
Yeah.
And after about 5 questions, it said, please buy more credits.
Right.
Okay.
And so I think to Maddie's point, and I agree with him 100%, but I think it's because everybody knows that it doesn't follow contextual conversation. They don't. They know that capability is limited. Right? People know.
Yeah.
But if they knew that you could have answer a question, okay, like who won the AL batting championship in 1958, right? You say, okay, it's Carlos Yastrzemski. Okay, well, but did he have an off year? Was he injured? Like, those kind of questions, like where if you're doing statistical, like if you're having an argument, sure, at a bar, that's what I'm saying. ChatGPT and Google just killed every bar argument on the earth. Ever. Like, right? Nobody's gonna say, it was Ted Williams. Bullshit. It was.
What's interesting is with ChatGPT, I said, give me the weather, and then ChatGPT gave me the weather, and I said, give it to me sarcastically, and it did a very good job, and it sounded natural. So I'm like, well, this is because Darren was like talking it up, like, this is cool. So I went to Gemini, tried the same thing, and it pretty much did exactly the same thing that ChatGPT
Right.
did, and it was actually natural with Gemini, at least. I don't know.
Yeah.
Google
So to
Assistant.
Maddie's point, we all know that isn't going
Correct.
to flow naturally back and forth because the capability is not there. Now, in 5 years, with advanced modeling, with more data input, does that become a thing? Like, I thought it was cool when they used to have a Windows phone in 2015, ask Cortana to tell you a joke. It would tell you a joke. Like, that was
Right.
pretty
Yeah.
cool. That was almost 10 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
and we all know how technology works, right? It's not one for one. It's aggregating. It's advanced. We didn't fly planes for the first 8,000 years of recorded human history. We flew a plane in 1903, and in one generation, we're on the moon. Like
Right.
it's definitely it's not it gets faster, right? It's
Yeah.
aggregate. So
Well,
I think, like I said,
yeah.
with Maddie knows that, hey, I can have a conversation, but if I'm more wanting to know, okay, well, did was that an off year for Ted Williams? No, it wasn't. Actually, Ted Williams hit 430 the next year, whatever, right? You start
Yeah.
to kind of get into, as more people want to get more information, they want to develop more understanding of things, and it becomes more of like learning as opposed to, you're wrong. You owe me $15 because it's Teddy ball game. Yeah, right. It's as it becomes more than that, as people engage more than that. And then, remember, nobody engaged their phones like they do. The fact that they're
Right.
doing it now, it's going to snowball. And I think it's going to be a situation where the next generation is going to be totally okay to ask your phone a follow-up question and contextual questions and more conversational things as people become more detached and be comfortable with, like me, it's weird to talk to a computer. For people who are 19 or 20 who have known nothing but computers, that may be more normalized than we understand.
Well, look, you're talking to Darren in a natural way too, and Darren's all AI.
And so Devin, I think, had something. What do you want to say?
God damn, he's good looking though for an AI. He's a fucking handsome motherfucker. That's what I'm saying.
I was actually just going to say the opposite too. Like, I also think there's a difference between us being the prosumers, right? And like knowing, we know the limits of technology. We know that when we talk to our devices that we're going to get that one answer out of it. But I also look over at my dad, who's, almost 70 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying really hard to have full conversation.
See, I've told you, there's people out there, man.
Like, he's failing miserably because he doesn't know the limits of tech right now.
Correct.
Like, he knows that he can talk, he can ask a question. So, like, why wouldn't he be able to have just a normal conversation? So I think that the more normalized, it gets, I think that most people are not going to have issues. The closer it gets to normal conversation.
That's a good point. I never thought of that, Devin. That makes a good point because I have family that does the same thing. Like, they'll say, "Hey, well, I'm not going to say it. Hey, you know what?" And then they're like,
Right.
"Oh, I want to," and they're like, "It's not giving me the answer." I'm like, "God, just look it up on Google."
But
You
realize
need to use the keyword this.
but you
Right,
realize,
right.
and here's the thing and Dev makes a good point. His dad is 70.
Correct.
He's never really being between 35 and 60. I've known a world that didn't exist with computers. I know a world that does exist with AI now. Like, people who are 70 don't know that.
Well,
that
Sam, that's a
wasn't
good
thing.
point. So, out of all of us here, I'm not going to pull out any ages. Sam, you already told how old you were.
Yeah, I'm 49.
When,
I don't give a
when
shit.
When I was born, I don't remember a computer, but I remember being on a computer for most of my life. Now, they weren't like they are today. They were monochrome. You dialed into billboards and stuff like that. But, I mean, do you guys remember, anybody here remember a world without computers? Besides
Dude, I remember a day that TV went off the fucking air at night. Like, I remember party lines.
I'm this
like,
old.
where everybody on your block had the same goddamn phone line. There was a lady
I can't believe
literally
I had
at
this shirt on at the
AT&T
same
or at Southwestern Bell who would take a
It's scripted.
physical card and take it out and put it in another line. Like, there was switchboard operators. Like,
Okay,
here's the
Sam,
thing.
you're not 110 years old. Come on.
No.
Okay.
But what I'm saying- Yeah.
All
I
right.
know.
So here's my take on this. So yes, I went from no tech to low tech to internet to cell phones to now you can do this with cell phones, and now you have a freaking computer in your pocket. To now you can talk to your phone like a human, right? And we have gone so long. Let's just talk about the Apple community, right? I'm not saying that. I have Don't judge.
You're
me.
part of the Apple community. 'Cause you have
I
an
am.
Apple
No,
device.
no
I have
judgments.
one.
It's
I have one,
judgment
okay?
free. You're safe.
Yeah.
This is a safe space.
An average consumer has gone to. I guarantee you, most people have iPhones who are gonna look at this next generation of AI. They're in their mid 20s to late 30s. It's kind of the peak time, right? They're like they understand what Apple is, right, and what they get with Siri, and they ask Siri a question that says, "Here's what I found on the web for your question," which is typically what she does.
Yeah.
Now you tell them, "Oh, just kidding,
Gee.
Siri." Well, my Siri is a female. All right, God
I'm
dang.
just kidding with you.
I don't have a British male on my Siri.
I don't
will
know.
tell you. Yeah.
Hey, I do. My Siri's Australian, so I don't know
Yeah,
about you fucking
yeah.
guys.
I'm in Texas, boys. I got
Right.
I got women all over the place. All right, so it gives you an answer. This is what I found on the internet for this. Now you have to retrain like 2 decades worth of Apple consumers
Yeah.
what it means to use Siri because they're
Yeah.
used to getting shit answers all the time.
Yeah, that stopped
And it's
using
always
it.
been shit. It's been
Yeah.
dog shit for years since
Yeah.
it was created, and now you have to change their perception. Oh, just kidding, guys. It's good now. Just talk to her like a normal person. It's like
Yeah.
the average consumer is like, what? No, I'm at you sell alarm, and you have to lock my device or something.
Yeah.
You know,
And what's
it's like-
funny, Matt, what you're saying is even as us tech, I can't say all of us, but to me, I feel like the Google Assistant is better than Siri. Generally, just having both devices. But people who have Apple devices don't give a crap.
Nope.
Siri is all they know, and that's all they're ever going to
And
use.
it's because
That's it.
And
Siri,
it's going to get better, and now they're
They're-
going to learn how much better.
It's going to take like 5 years though.
their only
True.
experience with Siri is negative. So it's
Correct.
locked in. They don't. Again, it's brand recognition, right? If you know that it's dog shit, it's going to be dog shit. Well, we made it better. Did you really? I don't
Yeah.
know. I've been using Google for 2 years, so I don't really care. Like it's like Windows phones may have been better in some aspects at running on lower hardware, but the Windows Phone brand in their brain became
Correct.
synonymous with failure, minimal response, right? And then once that's in their head, it's
That's
conditioned response, right? Just like Pavlov's dog, right? Ringing the bell, right? It's the same kind of concept. You can't, and that's why Apple knows that Siri is a no-brainer. It's not going to happen. They may try to throw a bunch of money at it because they're $1 trillion company, fine, whatever. But everybody's going to know that Siri's kind of whack, right?
Mhm.
Even if it's really good, and you're like, no, Siri's really good. Yeah, but it's Siri, and Siri's whack, and it's like, yee, ski, right? They don't care because in their brain, it's been locked in that Siri sucks, and they always suck.
Apple is the ultimate boy who cried wolf because
Yeah.
every iPhone
yeah.
is
Perfect.
the best iPhone that ever
Right.
been. So
Well,
okay,
it's not
I need
just
this
Apple
year's.
though.
No,
Samsung
I
is
need-
the
I
same
need
thing.
this
So
year's.
does
I need
Google.
this.
No. It's
No,
you,
no, I'm
that's
talking about
uniquely an
America.
Apple thing. Yeah, he's
I'm
bad
The
sorry.
difference is Apple will spend 3 hours on a live stream zooming in and out of buildings and people, whereas Google like pre-records it's like here's 30 minutes.
No, Matt is correct. That's kind of uniquely Apple
It
because
is.
that's the other side of their business model, right? It's
Yeah.
you live by the sword, but you die by it, right? And it's
Right.
because it's become a lifestyle brand. Maddie's 100% correct. It's like you kind of gotta have to deal with it, and if it's that's why Apple really focuses on making sure that every end user experience is positive because they realize that if it becomes off the jump negative, it's cemented in people's heads, and you're not getting rid of it.
Yeah, and that's not a
It's-
bad. Yeah,
No.
not a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
Maddie's
Well,
100%
in closing,
correct.
Well,
we're running around the 8 o'clock point. I know Darren's trying to wrap it up.
no,
we
it's
gotta have
okay.
a-
Go.
Oh, we're having a vote. Okay.
Yes.
So Tech Disruptors, we are on the precipice of technology, of course, as you all know.
That's a good
And
word.
we
I
are
like it.
planning on an
precipice?
AI assistant ourselves. So what should we call, from the Tech Disruptors, what should we call our AI assistant?
Vinny.
Vinny? Vinny?
Who said Vinny?
I said
Vinny
Vinny.
does-
Because
does sound-
hey, yo, Vinny. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Forget about
On
it.
the
Right.
East
Hey,
Coast,
look,
maybe.
like, I'm Italian, so I'm going to slant
Okay,
towards
or
Vinny.
Italian, yeah.
Because remember, Italians got
Like
a guy.
it.
You got a guy, right? You got a guy. I got a
Yeah.
guy
You got a
who
guy for
does,
this,
like,
got a guy for that. Yeah.
yeah, I got a guy who does
so
drywall.
Sam, you say Vinny. Matt, what do you say?
You're AI person?
Yes,
Not-
our
not
AI
Tech Disruptors,
creation.
not
Or
just
AI
me.
human thing.
For Tech Disruptors, yes.
Disrupty Joe.
Disrupty Joe.
There you
Okay.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You call that a phone? Fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
It's very sarcastic.
Joe.
Take a faucet in
Yeah.
fucking right, mate.
He's gonna screw up your plumbing. You know, you can't call him. You know, he's
Yeah.
fucked up. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I've been
like
busy
that.
for like 4 fucking weeks. Go
Yeah.
fuck yourself.
That is
Talk to some
hilarious.
Joe over there? No, he's fucked up my shit so many times.
So what we've established is we're going to have a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
our sarcastic assistant.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be an asshole.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, Devin, do you have any idea? I know you don't know us very well, but what would you say?
I was trying to think of what you would call one of these flame-throwing dogs that's like coming to your door, knocking like, "Here, you got any questions for me?" Like,
Flame throwing dogs. I like
Yeah.
that.
That's actually pretty good just by itself. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Flame throwing dog.
Throwing dog. Sparky.
Darren, what would you call it, Darren? What would you call it?
Oh, that's a fucking good question. Knowing the craziness of our our podcast.
I'm normal. I don't know about you. I'm not crazy.
I don't know. Boris.
Same. I'm
Something
sorry.
fucking Boris.
Boris.
Something fucking
Boris.
boring and unanimous with whatever. But
I
I
was
don't know.
thinking like Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy?
Jimmy, Vinny, whatever. Yeah, it's cool.
Damn,
Yeah,
dude, we
Jimmy,
all suck.
Vin.
He said
Yeah.
Vinny, Joe.
Jimmy.
Well, here's the thing.
Flame throwing dog. That's
I
the
think
winner
flame
right
throwing
there.
dog's the best one.
That's good.
I
Yeah.
think-
Look how
Flame
many
throwing dog is good.
non-Italian people really resonate to The Sopranos.
Yes.
And
You're right.
Italians are really the only group you can kind of like completely stereotype, and it's completely okay. It's like, yeah, everybody talks like that. Forget about it. Joey Bag of Donuts, how you doing?
Well, technically, I'm Italian. I've never talked like that ever. I do talk
Right,
with my
that's
hands.
what
a
I'm saying.
lot,
But it's okay. Like I said, if
That's
you
true.
say and you go, "Oh, Vinny," and it's like,
Hey,
yeah,
speaking
what
of
you
talk
want?
with my hands.
yeah, who won?
I
that?
got a
Who-
comment on my YouTube videos, and I always talk with my hands. I get them a lot, but a guy goes, "What?" And I took it seriously. He goes, "Why don't you put some puppets on your hands if you're
Damn.
going to talk with your hands so much?" So my next video, I'm going to get finger puppets, and I'm going to have them on my hands.
Well, you know
no
how you
doubt.
tell you know how you
like
shut
it.
an Italian up, right? You tie his arms together, right? That's how you shut an Italian.
yeah.
Sleep with the fishes. We know.
Right, and like I said, so I just like I said, it's hey Vinny, and be like, hey, you know what? Who gives a
I
shit?
kind of
who
like
wins the-
Vinny.
Who,
I love
who,
my
who,
shit. Yeah.
who cares who won the 56 AL batting championship? You really need to get yourself. Look at you, you fucking asshole. You really need to go ahead and work
I
out.
kind
a
of
little
want
bit.
my assistant
Your
to have some
BMI is like
Actually,
attitude.
you know-
34.
That's not bad. Hey, Vinny, you fuck. Who won the 1975 Olympics?
Who washes the
Dude,
goddamn
Darren, we gotta
Olympics?
get this
Hey,
rolling.
look at
We
you,
gotta
you
get this-
fat
Yeah.
fuck. You're like a 34 BMI. You really need to get to the gym, and you really need to reevaluate your life solution. That's all I'm saying. Forget about it. Like I don't
Vinny, I
want to tell
missed
you
my
what to-
appointment. You didn't remind me, you shit.
Okay, so we got the name.
All right.
The question is, would you
Vinny's good. I
download
like
the
Vinny.
app
Yeah, yeah.
and be your
Oh.
main?
Yeah, it
Oh,
has to be
God.
a
Devin's like,
main.
hell no,
Dude, if you give me a hello, a hey, oh Vinny, I'm all on that app.
Well, hold on.
Every,
Hey,
I have
Vinny is
young
good.
kids,
Hey,
so there's
Vinny
got to
is
be
good.
a version where I can like make it more kid friendly. Because I don't
Sure.
like, hey, you fuck, you got to do
Yeah.
this. I'm like, maybe not.
Just
today.
have a beep.
You should have
Beeper.
read the consent before you signed it.
consent.
Wow.
The
True.
agreement.
It's like everything
so
else,
you
man.
have to select, right? You have like adult mode, right? That's like
Yeah,
oh,
right,
And
right.
then you
It's a
have
button.
kid mode where it's like, hey Vinny, hey, what's up? How you doing? And then he's like, hey, I like, how do I get to this website? Pfft, who wants to go to a goddamn joint?
You know what?
Like, you want curry chicken? Forget about it. Go get the cutlets over here down on 54th Street.
Now,
Forget about
hang on
it,
a
right?
second. This might be the
I'm sorry,
perfect
Devin.
way.
I'm so sorry.
Perfect way to deal with difficult children. So when they're pissing you off, you flick it to adult mode.
Oh,
Right, you're like, right?
There
You
you
know
go.
what I'm
For
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
hey,
hey, mom, are we there yet? Hey, yo, are you driving the car? Forget about it. It's
See?
300 miles.
That's what I'm
Why don't you
saying.
go ahead and give
you
me some
guys
gas
are writing
money?
SNL skits. It's basically
Yes,
what you're doing
that's
is
it.
writing
Yeah, yeah,
SNL
yeah.
skits.
Yeah.
Right. Like I
Well, I see
said,
the
love
next
it.
podcast is that. It's going to be just
Yeah.
nothing but SNL skits.
Just- yeah.
The whole time.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Devin's
Well,
like,
that actually-
I'm done with this show. Like, I don't know what the hell is happening right
Sorry,
now. This
Devin.
last 20 minutes got wild. Right.
He's never coming back. Thanks,
right.
guys.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Hold on, I need a refill. Just one
Oh,
second.
bartender Joe Boo needs a refill. I'm fair. I'm tracking. That's okay.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that actually brings us to the end of the Tech Disruptors podcast for this week. And I want to say a big thank you to everyone that joined us tonight. This was an amazing podcast. Devin, Sam, Maddie, and Jason, thank you very much, guys, for gracing us with your beautiful presence. We are going to get on creating Jimmy, the
Vinny.
AI.
Vinny,
bot.
Jimmy.
Vinny.
Vinny.
Jimmy.
Vinny is the
Ah,
one.
Vinny.
Vinny's the one.
Vinny, sorry.
Vinny,
the
yeah.
Hey,
AI. Vinny. We'll get working on that right now. I'm going to send all the code over to Tuna. He can start putting that
Cool.
together.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
we'll go from there.
I'll crunch
And
the
then maybe
numbers.
Devin can build it for us. He can build a prototype fucking speaker in a beer can or something.
As long as he got a flamethrower.
No one's got a flamethrower. Yeah.
You just agree it burns your house down. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you who are watching us on YouTube for the very first time, thank you very much. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, just remember the keyword of today is creamy. But also make sure you subscribe over there and check out us on Apple Music and all the other fun places. On that note, thank you very much.